of the Nevada City Planning Commission to order. First, we recognize that this Planning Commission meets and convenes on the ancestral territories of the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe. Pledge of Allegiance. Tom, would you like to do it?
Yes, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call.
Commissioner Chico Martinez, sorry about that. Here. Commissioner Nye,
Here.
Vice Chair Cobden,
Here.
Chair Brown.
Here. All right, next part of the meeting is public comment. This is the opportunity for anyone to speak on matters not on the agenda. Is there anyone here who would like to speak about anything not on the agenda? Anybody? Doesn't look like it, so moving on to the consent calendar. Does anyone have anything they want to pull from the consent calendar? Any comments?
No, sir.
Nope. All right, anyone have a motion?
I move we approve the consent calendar.
A second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, consent calendar is approved. All right, public hearing for 400 Providence Mine Road, the Tech Center. Lisa.
Chair Brown, it appears that our applicants, I have maybe just joined. Okay, I have Chris Anderson. His attorney, Marcia, is not on yet. Let me allow him to speak here. Chris, can you hear us here? Is Marcia going to join us?
She is not.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Having a little bit of trouble getting online for some reason.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and introduce your item and then let you add anything to it that you might want to.
Okay.
So the item before you today for the development agreement amendment is pertaining to the lots owned by Christopher Anderson at an area known as the Tech Center. He owns 62.6 acres, which is contained in 4 parcels. In the original DA, there were more parcels included in that development agreement. And then in 2021, there was a change, an amendment to the development agreement, which did a few things, which I'm sure most of you remember this happening. I think you were on the commission at that time. So in 2021, the amendment was, the development agreement was amended to split the agreement into 2 separate agreements, and it also, so it defined Unit 1 and Unit 2. And then Unit 1 includes the 4 parcels that are owned by Chris Anderson. And then Unit 2 is the remainder of the parcels in the Tech Center. The 2021 DA amendment also created the allowance for a few of the allowed by right uses of the light industrial zone, including offices and cannabis businesses. The previous amendment also included disallowing classrooms and childcare facilities to make the uses consistent with cannabis uses. I will note that in the development agreement, the land use plan states that the development agreement should follow the employment center zoning and that the uses allowed should follow the employment center zoning. So basically, it by requiring the employment center zoning uses, it sort of disallows all of the light industrial uses, which is the underlying zoning. So the true zoning for the parcels is light industrial, but the development agreement points that the uses of the properties should follow employment center zoning. And the reason for that was when the properties were subdivided and the original project came forward, it was the intent of the applicant at the time and also the council at the time to sort of move that development in the direction of being like an employment center zone, because it was where Grass Valley Group was operating out of and other sort of tech businesses. And so they wanted to drive development in that direction. So now that's been many years since that development agreement was originally signed. And, you know, over time, things have changed. And so this is a way to allow for new uses that the applicant is interested in doing with his property. Also, I should note that in 2021, planner Amy Wolfson had a CEQA memorandum prepared to evaluate the development amendment or development agreement amendment and any implications under CEQA. And that memo was done by a consulting planner, and they made the determination that no further review was required under CEQA. There's an EIR that was certified in 1984, so they looked at that and then they compared with the current CEQA laws and determined that by allowing light industrial uses, it didn't trigger any new changes or requirements for CEQA or as far as review goes. So I have some information on that in your staff report. And the uses that are proposed for this amendment include conditional uses of the light industrial zone. So it's not all of the allowed by right uses, it's specifically the conditional uses. And I'll read some of those off to you. So some of the conditional uses in the light industrial zone include personal services, retail business, and private recreation facilities for the convenience of the employees of the district, and commercial recreation facilities, public and quasi-public uses, motels, restaurants, and cocktail lounges, which is what Kristen Anderson is interested in for his property. Other industrial uses or manufacturing processes provided with adequate performance standards, health clubs, etc. That's not inclusive of everything. So this is, since the original development agreement was adopted by ordinance, amendments to the development agreement need to also be adopted by ordinance. So your recommendation is requested at this meeting before it goes to the city council for potential adoption.
All right, thank you. Chris, do you have any comments you'd like to add to that?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Are there questions from the commission? No?
I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
For the employment center zoning district regulations, in parentheses, this is 2.11. It says in parentheses, including all accessory and conditional uses. Well, one of those is childcare facilities, up to 35 children. And for as a conditional use, can there be something in there that says, with the exception of, you know, so that that doesn't get put in there accidentally, like, we're not supposed to have that, but actually this says that we can have that. And I think it's
Yeah.
important that those are not allowed, so.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it was included in the previous amendment, and so it might be that it needs to be added explicitly in here as well.
Okay.
So I will make a note of that.
I know that in the light industrial, like, that part is removed, but not, it doesn't seem to say it here for the employment center, because it's kind of like both are being
Yeah,
allowed
it
now.
could say it in both item 1 and 2, because it
Yes.
does say in item 2, item
Correct,
G,
yeah.
childcare facilities are not an allowed use.
I think that would
Yeah.
be something important
Okay.
And then I have another question, which I guess, Lisa, you sort of answered this, which is, Chris, you're sort of interested in motels, restaurants, and cocktail lounges. I wasn't sure if you were interested in just having the same rights as a light industrial zone, which makes sense to me, or if there was a certain project in mind that you were hoping to, if there was a motivation, and what is it?
So planning on getting the event center, so I don't have to go get the special event permits. So doing the indoor event center, looking at having the roller skating rink, also a bar in there, potentially a food service also.
That makes sense. Okay, I figured it was that, but could have been any of these other things, and that would have been interesting to me, so.
Also, I've got a dog boarding person that is interested in also having a dog boarding facility over there too, and training.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for
A real
answering that.
one-stop shop.
Yeah, so it sort of would take some of the, it would change the process for Chris. Instead of coming to council every time to request a special event permit, he would have a defined use that he wants to do, and he would come into the planning department and to the planning commission with a conditional use permit application. And the commission would review his project, for all of the things that conditional use permits review, and make a determination on each use that he wants to do.
Efficiency is always good, so, yeah, if it can save time, yep, that's cool.
I have a follow-up question on just the discussion there about childcare. You were saying to include or exclude that?
To exclude.
Exclude it.
Yeah,
Okay.
include in the agreement that it's excluded.
Got it.
The wording was a little unclear for me, so
All right.
I didn't want a loophole there.
Because, because in both parcels, there's a proximity problem to a cannabis
Cannabis,
business,
yeah.
correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Are there
And
other,
I don't think the city, I'm not trying to have a child care facility, but I think it's just schools that are excluded with the 500-foot setback. It wouldn't be a child care facility, but I could be wrong about that.
I mean, it's already,
Yeah.
that use and that proximity are already in place and approved anyway, so,
Yeah, I'm not trying to change it.
yeah.
Yeah.
all right, any other questions? No? Is there public comment?
Just where is this center?
Oh, please come up to the mic.
Just wanted to know where the center was.
It's behind Seven Hills.
Along Providence Mine Road, basically back
Okay.
there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? All right, discussion. Ann, anything you'd like to?
I think that I may have some after, but I've asked my main, those were my main thoughts, so, yeah.
All right, Amy?
Nope, no discussion?
Tom?
No, something may come up later, but not currently, no.
Well, I think it's going to have to come up soon because I
Yeah, I
didn't
guess
have any
so.
discussion either. So, I mean,
Maybe we're good.
looks okay to me. All right. Final chance. All right. anyone-
I have nothing. I think it's been well considered by city staff. And
Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for the thorough report.
Exactly.
I will move to approve the item with the clarification that, how should I word it, Lisa? With the clarification to include the exclusion of childcare
Yes, that's fine. Into the agreement.
into the agreement, thank you.
And we're going to need two motions, right? One for approval and
The
one for
CEQA.
CEQA. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, roll call.
Commissioner Nine,
Yes.
Commissioner Sisco Martinez.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden.
Yes.
And Chair Brown.
Yes.
Motion carried. All right.
And can somebody please make a motion for the CEQA finding?
I'll make the motion to approve the CEQA finding.
I'll second.
And just to confirm that I didn't write it in your staff report, so my apologies, but the motion would be to determine that the project is exempt under CEQA.
Yes, that.
Okay.
Commissioner Knight,
Yes.
Commissioner Shisco Martinez.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden,
Yes.
Chair Brown.
Yes. All right,
Motion carried.
passes. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Good. Appreciate it.
Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, scroll down.
Scrolling.
Scrolling, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of scrolling.
Page 74.
All right.
Yeah.
Lisa, could you introduce the next item?
Yes. Is the applicant for 203 Cottage Street here? We do not have the applicant, so maybe we move this item to the end in case they are
Sure.
running late or something.
Sure. All right, you want to go ahead and introduce the subsequent item as we scroll?
Rescroll.
Click back to agenda and then,
Doesn't work on mine.
oh,
So our
works.
next item is for 523 Sacramento Street. Kimmy, if you want to join us, please.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
You can come join us at the table. So the application before you today is for changing out the door configuration on the current manager's unit. The owners wish to reconfigure the interior of the manager's unit and add one lodging unit, which would make the manager's unit smaller. To accommodate that, they would be moving the door that's currently centered on the stoop to the left and then adding a new door next to it. And it's very straightforward. There's a rendering in your staff report and also in the packet. And the recommended motion would include a finding that the proposed exterior alterations are generally compatible with Nevada City's style architecture and that the proposed alterations are compatible within the context of the surrounding neighborhood. Anything you'd like to add?
That's it.
All right. Any questions?
I have so many questions today. I was curious about how this works. Like, if we decided we didn't want there to be two doors, would you just not be allowed to divide your property? I mean,
don't
do we
know.
have that much power up
Yes.
here?
They can appeal
Whoa.
to council though.
Okay, because I was like, it's two doors either way, right? We're just deciding if we like these two doors or, okay.
Or they
So
could,
it's a
or they
little,
could come back with the proposal to put the door in a different place.
We
or
can make it a
something.
longer discussion.
wow, okay. So with all the power. No, okay, I didn't quite understand like how much, yeah, power we had right there. I think that was my main question.
Okay.
Right now.
All right, Amy? Tom?
I have a cute question. The doorknobs are at the center, and I bet they'd be on the other sides of the doors, right? Those doors will open.
They will open, you know what, I
It's a-
can't remember, can you show me
I
the
think
picture?
the plans,
You're right,
Oh,
they would be
shoot.
flipped. The doorknobs would be on the outside, so they would
Okay.
open towards the wall that divides.
It doesn't matter, but
Right.
it's not actually an accurate representation of the orientation of the doors. It's a really cool mock-up, so
Thank you.
that's really helpful. And
Almost had it.
So close.
There are doorknobs. I mean, that's good.
that was my question. Thank you.
I did have a question. The lighting that's shown in there isn't compatible with the dark skies ordinance that we're working on.
It's got an eave over it.
But it
Yeah.
hangs down below
But no, it's like, it's got a full roof over it.
It does, is it shown there in the photo?
Yeah, but the point,
Except out the gable, the light will project above the horizontal plane out the gable and
Yeah.
Yeah.
toward the
But-
camera.
But like the roof itself is
But-
dark.
To the sides.
It creates shielding, but there could still be glare because the
Okay.
bulb is still not
Okay.
recessed.
Yeah, the emitter's below the plane, basically, of the bottom of the eave, so.
Those are the existing lights.
Mm-hmm.
We were just going to move them slightly to be centered over the doors.
Yeah,
But, you know, I'm not picky about the lights, so if we need to change them, we can.
well, I mean,
like a
what,
different discussion.
maybe you could inform us where we are in the ordinance
Sure.
right now. Yeah.
Yes, so what Chair Brown is referencing is we have a citywide initiative to do a dark skies lighting ordinance, which is an improvement to our standards for exterior lighting. And it's in draft mode still, so it hasn't been adopted. But basically, it will include encouraging people to change out their fixtures to keep light contained within the source and shine only on the ground. If there's a fixture that isn't shielded, light can basically spread
I see.
in each direction. So I think the request would be a consideration for you to please consider, purchasing new fixtures. And there's a international association called Dark Sky International, and they actually, part of what they do is they certify light fixtures. So you can go on homedepot.com and type in dark sky certified, and it'll come up with all of the ones that are appropriate to buy.
Okay.
But
Do you know if like a style with a shade that's kind of a cone, something like that
Yeah.
works? Okay, that's more similar to what we have on our other units, so we may want to do that anyway, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
And
can definitely look into that.
I can help you if you need it
Okay,
more.
cool.
But basically, the light bulb recessed up into the fixture rather than here
Yeah.
with glass all around.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thanks.
and at this point, the ordinance is not finalized, so it'd just be, I ask you to consider it, it's not a requirement, so.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? No. Is there none? Any public comment on this item? No. Discussion? Any discussion?
Love to see all of the improvements you guys have made.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool solution. Yeah.
All right. Would someone like to make a motion?
Sure. I'll motion to approve this.
I will second.
Commissioner Knight,
Yes.
Commissioner Shisco Martinez.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden,
Yes.
Chair Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Kimmy.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll email you later.
Okay.
Today.
All right, so that brings us down to tree removal on
Trees.
Gracie Road.
4:15 is seemingly
Do
possible.
we have the applicant for 397 Gracie Road here? Yeah, come on up.
Tree guy.
So formal, I've never done this in 40 years.
Welcome.
Welcome.
You'll see, it's a lot of fun.
For us.
Used to work with Bill directly.
Are you Jim Norman?
I am.
Okay. So joining us today is Jim Norman from Jim Norman's Trees Unlimited. He's representing property owner of 397 Gracie Road for a tree removal application, which includes removal of 14 mostly large-sized trees. They vary in species. There's 7 redwoods, 1 pine, 3 pines along Gold Flat, so 1 pine along Gracie, 1 pine, 3 along Gold Flat, another redwood along Gold Flat, and 2 cedars. The trees that are requested for removal many of them are encroaching on the sidewalk and also the property owner's driveway. And I'll show here the updated site plan that I requested this week, which shows where the trees are on the lot. So unfortunately, the X's represent the trees that will be removed. The circles are the trees that stay. So until I got this map, I didn't realize that it wasn't the trees that were on the corner here as much. And that it's more, the redwoods are back here by the driveway.
Oh, they're everywhere.
Yeah. And then these, if I understand correctly, one of these is a redwood, and then the rest are the cedar and the pine. And there was an arborist report, which is in your staff report as well, that speaks to tree condition and hazards. And these were the views that I pulled off of Google Maps. So I did think that these were all being removed, but it appears that these are going to stay and that the ones farther back on the lot are proposed to be removed. Anything you'd like to add?
The redwoods that are encroaching on the sidewalk, the reason I got called out there to begin with was he wanted to take them all out. I had to find some reason. So we were walking around and there's abnormal cracks in 2 of them, not from the roots where you would visually see the roots protruding from the ground, but you have abnormal cracks in the ground, which means there's shifting in the roots. So that's why I brought out the arborist and we went over this. Along Gold Flat, trees that have double tops is an unhealthy conifer. What happens is all the foliage grows to the outside. And as the tree gets taller, it gets heavier. One of them is going to break. So what PG&E has done is the one that leans towards the line, they completely removed it. So now you have one stem leaning towards the house with all the foliage on that side. So knowing the snow that we get here, it will break. Eventually, it's going to break. The other redwoods that are along Gracie, the roots have nowhere to go. They're going towards the house. It's pulling it towards the house. And the trees are leaning towards the house because you have the road of Gracie and you have the sidewalk. And you can see how it's lifted up the sidewalk. So, and I consider myself, it's just like, the only reason I got the arborist report was because of the outcry of the public, just like we're taking out the redwoods at the police station in the city of Grass Valley. I used to hang lights on them all the time, but it's cracking the wall that the trees are up against. So it took 2 years for it to go through, and we're taking them out this month. So anyway, I don't know what to say.
Okay, thank you. Other questions?
I have no questions.
I have a couple, so in this picture here, where did the careful pruning by PG&E occur? On the Gracie side or the other side?
Gold Flat. Power lines run down Gold Flat, almost close, right near the sidewalk. What they did was they cut off the one side going towards the power lines.
Right.
And left the one.
And they've all been artfully pruned in the manner that leaves gravity steering them toward the
house?
the structure, yeah.
Yes.
On the Gracie side, how far from the house are those stems?
30 feet.
30?
The stems, we're on Gracie's side. There is no stem on that side. Now we're on to the root problem. Those are solid tops. There's no double tops. on
Right,
those.
right.
Okay.
So I was just curious how far from the structure.
30 feet.
Yeah, okay.
And the ones closer to the driveway, you're 25 feet. My recommendation is you take them out because what's happening is they work as a unity against the weather.
Yeah.
So when you take out a cluster of trees, say you take out this side of the trees and you leave these, even though they're straight, the cell structure, the rings that you count how old the tree is, will be thicker on the protected side where the trees were that you took out, and they'll be tighter on the other side. Now that you've taken out these trees are more susceptible to the wind and blowing them over. I just didn't think the public would really take into consideration taking them all out. And I told the landowner, you have to plant some dogwoods, some birch trees, something that doesn't get so big. That's the only reason that I didn't recommend taking them all out.
Now, okay, so I have a question now. Does the owner want to take them all?
He does,
Oh, well,
but
go ahead and ask to take them all then. If you have a plan to replace the rest of the trees with something like birch or maple or something that is more area appropriate. Am I speaking out of turn? It seems quite appropriate to do it now.
Yeah, maybe hold that for the discussion.
Comments, yeah, okay. Okay.
Another question, so
Yes.
just for my own information, so where the rings are looser, further apart, there's less structure on that side.
Yes.
If they're closer together, that's a stronger.
yes, the fibers are much tighter
Yeah, so
and
it's-
dense.
So it's going to resist wind, say, on the tighter ring area than on the looser ring area.
Correct.
News to me, that's just for my own enrichment.
So if you go to a stump, and if you can still count the rings, you can look at the stump, and if they're all tight, the same direction all the way around the tree was straight. So if the tree leaned this way, the rings, well, it depends if there was trees behind it, but normally the rings would be really tight on this side and not so tight on the leaning side, because you want the fibers are going to be solid on this side, if that makes sense.
It does.
That's cool.
If I was a tree, I'd do it like that, too.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
To follow up on what Amy's, without discussing it, so the owner wants to take everything out and you
I said that the-
you're okay with it, but you just, what is your actual recommendation? Like, do you think he should leave some of the trees in?
No,
Or-
I
Oh,
don't.
you don't? You just think that it's public
And he
facing?
wouldn't have. And I said, the public outcry here, I don't know.
Okay, I just
Here.
thought I understood, okay. I used to live on Goldfield, I used to walk by this house all the time. And obviously the owner is fine with like less privacy and seeing the laundry
He
place
rents
across
this
the
out, he
street
lives in
and,
the Cedars,
okay.
and he's actually
So-
from Florida.
So he's cool with, okay, because those would be like, if I lived there, that's a really different property suddenly, you know? Because those
Oh,
trees, I
huge.
think, slow down cars from that sharp turn. I mean, I think it's like, I kind of was relieved to see that those end ones were the ones staying, because I think if you take that turn really
Maybe
fast.
hold that for the discussion. as well.
Discussion,
Yeah.
correct, discussion. Thank you for keeping me on track.
Are
But
there
your
other-
recommendation,
For a
taking them all
lively
out is fine with you. Got it, okay.
Are there other questions?
I lied, I did start discussing.
Is there any public comment? Oh, go ahead. Would
No,
you-
no, I don't have any more questions.
Okay. Is there any public comment? No public comment.
We're alone here.
All right, discussion,
I have some discussion.
please.
I would just like to take a moment for anyone listening to plead with the public to not plant redwoods here. They do not belong here, they don't do well, and this is inevitably what happens. Also, don't plant them under power lines. And thank you so much for your thoughtful discussion of why you're approaching this way. And also, I would like to say, I think that it makes more sense, for the same reasons that you described, to remove all of them together and to just reconsider the landscaping there now. It's going to be less expensive now than it will be in the future. And if these trees are structurally compromised, they're also going to be presenting a liability for public infrastructure and for neighbors if they fall eventually. So I would like to open up that for discussion. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but I'm glad that came up.
I don't disagree with you at all. I do think that it's nice to have some trees over there, but these are not the right trees. And you're right, they're
no
not the
means.
right trees for this area for a reason, and
And please don't plant them so close to each other. They're redwoods.
yeah, so.
Don't plant them so close.
I had a question. Redwoods typically like resprout, right, and they do the fairy ring effect. Is there going to be a way to make it to where the new sprouts don't come up, or
He's going to have to stump grind.
he is going to stump grind?
On the exception, redwoods, junipers, needle trees will sucker back. Pines of all sorts, once you've cut them, they're gone. Same thing with cedars, San cedars. You cut them, they will not resprout. Redwoods, 100%, they're going to come back. Little sprouts coming out, yes. So my recommendation to him is he's gonna stump grind them.
So the redwoods, but not the others, not the cedars?
They won't resprout, no.
Okay.
I would recommend to him, you might as well take them out now because they're along the sidewalk and somebody walking around, see happy people we have.
Are there any trees in that ring that he wants to keep, or is it just all of them and reconsider the whole? Are there any that
He
are
was
being
going to
left?
take them all out.
All, okay. I wasn't sure if it was just all the redwoods or every single tree. Okay.
And all of the pines that are there are compromised as well? There are no healthy pines?
Yes, the ones along Gracie have beetles in them. They're really infected. One, he
Oh, yeah.
wasn't sure, it's on the corner. The other one is compromised because the redwoods are taller than the pine. The pine doesn't get any sunlight whatsoever. You can see that it's dying.
Well, and another aspect of redwoods is that they make soil inhospitable to other species.
Yep.
So is there I should have asked this before, is there a remediation plan for the soil to make it more hospitable to any replanting? Maybe that should be considered. I don't know what that looks
Don't
like.
know the answer to that question.
It's not necessarily part of the tree removal. You could, yeah, pass that on, yeah.
I think that he's willing to do this.
I'll
is
comment that maybe
good.
that should be considered in the process.
I don't have an answer for it. If I don't, I'll just tell you I don't.
Yeah, we wouldn't have specific action on that anyway, so, but more just a recommendation.
Thanks. Like not planting redwoods.
Yeah, yeah. Any other questions
Mike,
or discussions?
yeah, my comments are that, biology aside, arboreal, like, realities aside, aesthetically, to remove all trees around the house would be unattractive aesthetically. That's my feeling. And maybe these are the wrong trees, but, so that's, that also supports my next point, which is that the proposal that's in front of us is the removal of the proposed trees. I don't think that we're in a position to request that they expand the tree removal scope at this time. It could be expanded later, come back with another plan. But I would say personally, for the reasons stated, the structural concerns and regarding the weight problem caused by PG&E's trimming, by the power lines that made that necessary, that I'd be in support of the plan as it's presented.
And I would add that along the same lines, just as you said, that only these trees are in front of us now, and the public should have an opportunity to comment on, other tree removals as well, so.
That's a good point.
Any other discussion?
I would like to add that it's within our authority to require a remediation plan, like plantings to replace the property or aesthetic loss by removing all the trees, if all the trees were removed. So that would be an aspect that we might, or we're empowered to ask for in a case where where they're all removed. So that's just for future reference. I don't see any need for that, though, as part of this plan.
I might note, he does have 2 liquid ambers that are on the side of his house. He has a huge black oak in the front of his house, which we're going to do weight reduction because it was leaning towards the house because the redwoods are taller, so all the foliage grows to the sun. So we're doing some weight reduction on it. He also has a Japanese maple, and he has a pistache tree that's in the yard. It's going to change the aesthetics of the house because it's going to open up because there's no trunks there and people are used to seeing the trees there. The trees have been skirted up, but the foliage, as people are walking by, doesn't see all the house. So once you take these trees out, yes, the house is going to be visible. So if liquid ambers and black oaks, well, I don't recommend planting a black oak. They just break. Liquid ambers or birch trees or dogwoods, I can get the arborist back out to talk with the landowner because he's not objecting to putting something in. Matter of fact, he suggested, I don't know what to put in here. So that's
So I think that based on this discussion, if the owner does decide to come back to remove the others, that would be a good thing to include the discussion of the remaining trees, and any that they would propose putting in. Any more discussion?
Sorry, Rod, what did you just say?
Basically saying, in general, along the lines of what Tom was saying, that if the applicant wanted to come back and remove the rest of the trees, supporting information about the remaining trees, I said the rest, but the rest of them along the road, the remaining trees that are in the yard, as well as any other trees that they would like to add, would be beneficial in their application, would help us understand things better.
Gotcha, thank you. I would also like to suggest that the commission consider adding a condition requiring stump grinding for the redwood trees.
Does it not say, I've read at least once that it said that they would stump grind where there's sidewalk.
That might have been the other one.
It might be in the staff report, but
Yeah.
I would recommend adding it to your motion
Okay.
if that is the request of the commission.
Okay.
Okay? But would someone like to make a motion?
I have one more question first.
Okay.
You said this is your first time here in 40 years. You said no black oak, no redwood. While you have the microphone, is there anything else you would like people to not plant in this city?
Get on your soapbox.
I know, just, you have an opportunity here.
Well, black oaks, in the summertime, the photosynthesis brings all the fluid up into the trees. So it makes them heavy then, and they just break. In the wintertime, you get a little snow on them, and they break. The snowmageddons, as you all know. So they're native to this area.
Okay.
You can plant blue oaks, white oaks, red oaks. They don't get ginormous. White oaks do, excuse me. Red oaks, tan oaks, scrub oaks. There's different breeds of oaks that you can only get 40, 50 feet. They won't get much higher than that.
Okay.
Black oaks will get a few hundred feet, probably 180, 200 feet on mature.
Wow.
So birch trees, dogwoods, maples. There's quite a few trees out there. It is my first time here.
No, that's great.
Okay,
I just,
Thank you, thank you.
public service announcement.
All right, would someone like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll motion to approve this, but adding that the sites of the redwood trees need to be stump ground. I don't know if that's exactly the right.
Yeah,
Yes.
stump grinding.
Stump ground, yeah, stump grinding.
Stumps must be ground.
Stumps must be ground for where
Redwoods.
the redwood tree,
Where if I
Where
can,
they were-
Where adjacent to a sidewalk. Is
oh,
that-
just where adjacent to us.
Or all.
No, all of them,
I think all
because
of
we
them,
don't
just
want
to
them
make sure they
to,
don't come back.
yeah.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Knight,
Yes.
Commissioner Cisco Martinez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Cupton.
Yes.
And Chair Brown.
Yes. All right, you're approved.
Thank you, and maybe we'll see you again.
Very nice day.
You too.
Didn't take 2 years, that's good.
All right. Moving on to the next tree removal. On Ridge Road, 175 Ridge Road.
Do you want to notify Dan Ketchum?
Yes,
That
because
we're
he's
ready
the
for
one who's
him?
supposed to be doing the docking.
Yeah,
I don't have a phone with me.
okay. How about just a 5-minute break or 10-minute break, and I've got another applicant on the way, 2 more applicants on the way,
Okay.
so
All right, we'll take a 5-minute pause, or 10-minute pause.
10 minutes.
All right, we will reconvene with the consideration of 175 Ridge Road, the tree removal application. So, Lisa.
Dan, you want to join us?
Sure, we're gonna be up there with you, Dan, or not?
Greetings, thank you for holding. There was a nasty-looking accident on Highway 49 coming northbound that they shut the freeway down, so
Oh, wow.
didn't look too good. So I'm Daniel Ketchum. I'm a member of the Sierra Presbyterian Church, and I've kind of taken the lead on this tree removal project. And I have Wayne Whittlesey with me. He's a retired...
Thank
go ahead.
thank you, Daniel. You hold on one
Oh,
second.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Jumping
Lisa's
ahead.
going to introduce the,
I thought you did all the preliminaries already.
that's all right.
I'll introduce and then you can add whatever you'd like.
Perfect.
So as Dan mentioned, he's representing Sierra Presbyterian Church today at 175 Ridge Road for a tree removal application. Several large trees are proposed for removal, 8 ponderosa pines and 5 incense cedar trees. The property is a few parcels that together create 3.75 acres. And there's a forester's report included in your staff report that you can view, which represents hazards involved with the trees and justification for the removal of the trees that are up for discussion. This includes overcrowding, root competition, and proximity to paved areas, which is causing soil compaction and a lack of oxygen. I did request that the applicant submit an updated site plan showing the trees in relation to the drive aisles, so you'll see that in your staff report. And I would request that the commission make a motion on both determining the project categorically exempt from CEQA, and then also the finding for the tree removal. Anything you'd like to add?
Sounds good.
All right, questions?
Not this one.
I do have a question. Lisa, could you note why CEQA is required for this one as opposed to other tree removals?
Well, if a tree removal comes in front of the planning commission, there needs to be a CEQA finding. The reason for that is because it's discretionary. If it's at the planning commission level, it's not a ministerial staff level approval. So discretionary things that do have the potential to affect the environment require a finding by the commission.
As a side note, I believe that California is currently in a state of emergency that has made all tree thinning CEQA exempt, or is that correct? Are you familiar with that?
I'm not familiar with that. I haven't seen it in the CEQA guidelines.
It's recent, it's like as of a few weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago. I'd be happy to research that. Do you have any, is it like a state level?
Yes.
Is that adjacent to the LA fires?
I can't say I know about it because of a CAL FIRE grant that I'm working on. I know about it, I should say I heard about it because I clearly don't know.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
alluding to it.
Lisa
Yes.
can look into that.
Okay.
Other questions at this point?
I have maybe a dumb question. In the reference photos, I see tagged trees with numbers on them. Can you explain what those are?
Sure, be glad to. We have a property that's what the foresters like to characterize as being well overstocked, meaning too many trees per acre. We have, I don't know, how many trees we have, Wayne? 100, 200?
Well, I think there was, let me look, see what the highest number on there is.
So we commissioned Wayne, retired surveyor, to make this site plan showing location, the diameter of each tree and the species, so
Okay.
we could start kind of inventory and what was good and what was bad. And
Very
so-
thorough.
It looks like about 160, maybe 170.
And those probably include some trees that are in the city right away that need to be addressed as well, but outside our purview. So we were trying to identify the critical trees that really represented hazard to the building and persons due to proximity to buildings, the angle they're leaning towards structures, prevailing wind directions when they makes them come down, but most importantly, health of the tree.
So these photographs represent the ones proposed for removal?
Every tree on the property now has a survey tag on it, so we can track them.
And the
we
ones
know-
in the photos are the
Yeah,
ones.
yes, correct.
the
Yeah,
candidates,
it's hard to take a picture of a 200-foot tree that's huge, so
Right,
yeah.
I simply, if you wanted to go out and look at it, you could find the tree from that
Okay.
tag in that picture.
Very thorough.
Sorry, a long answer,
Extremely
easy
thorough.
question.
There was also part of a few of the trees, they were to be taken down because they had conch, which makes the wood real weak and a wind will blow them over. Conch is a type of fungus. I think it's a fungus. I'm not an expert on it, but it's a thing that grows on the tree.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing no public comment, discussion.
Thank you for the extremely thorough site plan. This is very easy.
Any other commission discussion?
No, this seems.
All right.
I have another question. So, page 150 of the, it's a paper map that is shown, kind of folded. It's a photograph of a map. Is it
Yeah, I can
that?
show it
Is this
here.
it?
I don't know. And it's,
Yeah.
and
A
the,
scan of the larger plat.
I actually shot all those trees with a survey instrument.
okay, and there are ones circled in my, yes, that. The circled ones are the ones to be removed?
Correct. There's a red circle around those which are identified or requested for removal.
Okay. That's a small number among the stock.
It's a start. It's a start. It's a big project, a lot of money, so we're really targeting the high-risk trees right now.
Right. So incremental process?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
PG&E is going to be in here as well. There's a number of trees under their jurisdiction that they're looking at, identified as hazard trees to the power line. It is kind of, side note, it's kind of interesting, in the main transmission line serving Nevada City goes right along our property line there. And about a year ago, I called them and said, you need to come look at some of these trees because they're really hazardous. And they kind of blew me off.
Is that along Town Talk?
That's the road into Robinson Timber right
Yeah,
there.
isn't that Town Talk?
It's
I thought Town Talk was
Searles,
on
I
the other
think.
side
I
of
think
that
it's
hill.
It's
Searles, okay.
Boulder Grass Valley
Lower
Road.
Grass Valley Road?
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
Valley, yeah.
So they've been back out. They're addressing some of these trees that are on our property, but definitely hazard to Nevada City because that's the main power line. Yeah.
I apologize if this is in here. I didn't see. Is the plan to remove the trees? Are you going to be chipping in place or a combination of both?
We hope these are all going in the mill, mostly.
Okay.
It depends upon, these are big trees that are quite a reach for the crane, so that some of them they may have to chunk down in pieces and then they'll be chipped.
I bring it up because as part of discussion, I would just hope that every measure to avoid any kind of contamination from infected trees is avoided.
Yeah, the infected ones that Wayne was referring to with conch are mostly on the PG&E. They're on that east side of the property. The ones that we're talking about are really a variety of issues, but probably not so much fungus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see that picture up there a second again.
I can share it.
The trees on the circled ones on the left side, most of those are because the roots are under pavement and they're starving and
Okay.
dying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a good point. We'll bring that up with PG&E because we don't want any more of that spreading. I'm sure that can spread.
I don't know where they're at. I used to do work with them before as a supervisor, and it varies from crew to crew whether or not they're cleaning their equipment or what.
Right.
And that's a
Yeah.
major issue with sudden oak death. But it's always something to be aware of.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, we have a really good forester, Robert Ingram, is helping us and he's super knowledgeable. So we'll bring him into the mix when they get ready to do their work on their trees.
Great.
And I'm assuming they'll be back. PG&E, I believe, has to get city approval. They indicated there was some kind of city approval process even they had to go through now
Really?
on their tree removal. So they'll be back probably back before this commission, I imagine.
Yeah, I think they typically call our city engineer and inform him that a tree is going to be removed.
Oh,
But
they
I'm
don't
not
have
sure
they don't
if
have
that's a
permission.
sure,
That could
like
be,
every
yeah.
single time thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question, though.
Okay. If no other discussion, would someone like to make a motion?
I will move to find this project CEQA exempt.
A second?
Commissioner Knight,
Yes.
Commissioner Sisco Martinez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden,
Yes.
Chair Brown.
Yes. That was the SEQA exemption, and then we also need to just approve the removal.
Do you want to take the
Yeah.
approval?
Yeah, I motion to approve this as it stands. But the trees won't. Yes. Stand.
Second.
It was Ben.
Commissioner Nye,
Yes.
Commissioner Cisco Martinez.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden.
Yes.
Chair Brown.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for the
Yeah,
really
welcome.
great survey and presentation.
Sorry I didn't put the pavement in on the, I did the sidewalk.
You
That's
did
okay.
great.
Yeah, it's still,
Thank you.
still good. Okay, moving on to historic district sign for 232 Commercial Street, the river.
Or do we go back to, oh yeah, okay.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. Lisa.
So with us today is Christine Kirks, representing the sign for the river downtown. The request today is for a change of the sign and its shape. This sign was previously approved in, I believe, August, it looks like. August 2024, the River Downtown received a sign approval. The commission approved the sign, but required removal of the commercial street cityscape. The applicant has changed the design of the sign and request reconsideration of the cityscape. The color of the sign is actually changed as well. It was proposed to be the color of the building, and they have changed it to be black. I have a thing here that I'll pass out in a moment. And Christine was unable to attend the meeting in August, and so she wanted to bring this back and see if there was any flexibility for including the cityscape. I'm sure you all saw in your staff report the letter that she submitted with her justifications of why it's important to have the skyline on their sign, important to them. And I'll let her elaborate on that. So I'll pass out the images now so that you have them. And Christine, feel free to add anything that you'd like.
Great, thank you. I'm Christine, my son Charlie, my daughter Olivia, and we are all part of the River Downtown along with Jimmy that you had met at the previous meeting. So thank you for letting us present this again. I did kind of write down some notes just so I could keep myself organized. But we're glad because it gives an opportunity for us to just share why we're passionate about the design of the space or design of the sign. There's been conversations about it before, but we're hoping that with some of the information that we are sharing, there'll be some more perspective to have. So basically, we're opening a business that we've poured a lot of love and thought into. We've developed our message extensively on the inside of the building, and we want to complete it on the outside of the building as well. The townscape is significant to us because it connects and completes our message. And so if you were to look at the whole entire sign, they all have significance. The tap is because we are a tap room. We're going to have 24 taps. But it's not just beer, it's wine, it's non-alcoholic beverages, it's an assortment. So it's a watering hole because it's not just a bar. It's for families, it's for all to come. The grub is a casual, elevated, small plate that we're offering. And it, in our mind, fit with the historic times. It's watering hole and grub is like, kind of the Old West, so that's kind of where we came in on that. Nevada City, of course, having that in there was nice because we figured when people look at it on the foot traffic or in a picture or online, it's good because we love our town and we want Nevada City to be represented and connected in that way. The font also is significant because it's called the River Downtown, And so we thought it was flowing like a river, and so all of it has significance to us, and we spent a lot of time putting it together. So yeah, I guess the last thing was the townscape significance was that we came to that part, it was like, okay, we live on Commercial Street, we work on Commercial Street, we love our little town, we love our little street, and so we're making the connection of like, we're the river downtown. And so it all made sense to us to be the river downtown, because, we're all about the Yuba River, so. And then, as far as making some minor changes to the sign, Lisa already mentioned that we changed the shape and the color, which we felt like the shape kind of reproportioned things differently. And it still has the significance of the townscape being on there, but super subtle. So it has our message, but it's not intrusive. And you can see, in that picture of it on the street, I mean, you can hardly see the cityscape, but to us, it's important, so. Also, I guess in reference to other signs around town, we walk around and we see that most signs actually do have an image kind of connected to reflecting their name. So like the Fern has a fern leaf, and Three Forks has their river, Three Forks of the river. Harmony Books has books, Java John's has coffee, Treats has ice cream. I mean, it goes on and on, so these things all significant to us because it sends a message. And we didn't want it just to be the name and letters. We wanted all the dots to be connected, which helps just send the message, making it clear to our customers that bring your families. We're not just a bar. We are food. And come and take your souvenir picture in front of our sign after you have a great meal. So I guess, I don't know, some of the things we know are the modern look. And when we were developing the sign, we considered a lot about the historic elements of our town. And we actually felt like we had met the criteria and kept it historic. And when I was filling out the application, the things that I was feeling regulated to was the size, which fits within the parameters and shows our beautiful red lantern. Its material is wood, worn wood, hung by black chains, so that fits in. The color is coordinated with our building and the city color schemes. And the lettering is artistic, which our town is artistic, but it's also thoughtful and not standing out and looking too modern. And we looked at all of that. And I actually spent a lot of time and money with a graphic designer coming up with the sign. And she's made signs in Nevada City before. She'd come here before with signs, so she felt very confident after we'd finished that it was checking the boxes. And that's pretty much it. I apologize that my trip conflicted with the first meeting. And I'm hoping that the discussions that you guys have today, in light of what we've presented or put together, just helps you approve our signs, because we want to order it and open in a few months. So, thank you.
All right, great, thank you.
Thanks.
Open it up to questions from the commission. Why don't we just go in order? Ann?
I think mine are mostly discussion things. I'm learning the difference.
Okay. Amy?
I don't think I have any questions at the moment.
Okay. Tom, do you have a question?
I don't have a question, no.
I have no questions either. Open it up to public comment. Do you have any public comment? No public comment. So move on to discussion. Why don't we start at this end this time?
Let's start on that end.
Are you passing?
Through the
You're
chair, I
passing?
asked that we start at that end.
Okay.
Fine. I like the shape change. I think it's really cool. And so I'm glad that you're coming back, because I think that's an improvement. I never minded the landscape, actually. I don't think I voted. I think I was fine either way. My thought is, because of the new shape, and this isn't like I'm good with this sign, is mostly. It just sort of has because the shape of the watering hole doesn't go with the curve of the bottom and the top. Do you know, there's
Yes.
just something about it that
And quite honestly, the designer hasn't put her final touch on it.
I think that would be like
Yeah.
nice if it curved along the same way.
Yeah.
Not a deal breaker,
Agree.
but I just think it would look, it's just a suggestion, but I like the black over the green too, so I think it's an improvement and, but that's what I have to say about it. I think if if it meets the criteria and it's important to the business, I think we should accept it. That's what I think. You know, the landscape, I think it's important for businesses if we can allow things for them to be able to represent themselves as they want to be represented too. Yeah,
Okay.
that's my opinion.
I'm glad that you ended with that. Generally speaking, I am always for whatever the business thinks is right for them. Aesthetically, I'm not a big fan of the sign, honestly, but I appreciate everything that you've put into it and the way you want to express your business, and you've thought it through. You've spent more time thinking about it than I have. I do just want to point one thing out, and it's probably not going to change anything, but when I see the gold pouring out of the tap, I think two things. One is that we have, I think, an unhealthy relationship with our history around gold in this area. And secondly, it looks like, how can I say this delicately? It doesn't necessarily look like beer to me. Anyone?
I know what you're saying, but I think that it's coming out of a tat's kind
Yeah.
of.
It isn't actually supposed to be.
I know,
I'm
it's
glad it
just-
doesn't look like beer, because it's not supposed to be beer. It's supposed to be any drink, and it's supposed to be the gold liquid that you get, whatever you find is gold liquid to you.
Yeah, I'm
looking at
I'm not saying that because I'm going to vote against it because of those reasons, but I just wanted to give that feedback as an aesthetic
Yeah.
nitpicker. And I'm okay with any of the shapes of it. I do find it a bit busy still. I don't think it's necessary for signs to advertise everything about what's in a business, but again, like, if this is the sign that you absolutely need to have, you're the business, I want to support you.
Thank you.
Let's see, I'm neutral about the shape change. It's fine, the color change is fine also. I watched our meeting previously in August of last year, and
You rewatched it.
I rewatched it. Yeah,
that's a good idea.
just to like remind myself of where we were coming from, the basis for what we were saying, and we have a little bit of a tough job because there is a lot of discretion within our authority in terms of crafting, or not crafting, but having signage be consistent with mother lode architecture, which is Gold Rush era. And on this sign, allowances were made for the modern font, and we tend to stay away from imagery. If you look around, you'll find there's not a lot of imagery. There are some logos, there are some, but our goal mainly is to keep it simple. And since you're a place that pours liquids that people find to be golden, it's a modernish representation of a tap, and I still have an issue with the cityscape. I think it doesn't, to me, represent a skyline of Nevada City. Also, it seems to me to be a late 20th century graphic. It doesn't feel consistent with mother lode architecture to me. It's on Commercial Street. It doesn't need to have a graphic indicating its presence on Commercial Street. And though I understand that you like it and it's important to you, we're crafting the signscape, if you will, of Nevada City as a whole. And you may notice that in other cities nearby, there's less compatibility between the signs. than there are here. Signs here are all different, and they express the aesthetics of the owners of all the businesses uniquely, but they also fit together. And it seems like, it may seem to be a very small point, but the cityscape here, I don't recognize as specifically Nevada City's skyline.
I literally took a picture of Commercial Street and
If you could-
drew it out.
Let him finish. please.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks, Roy. I used to be the chair, and I'm having a hard time not
Sorry about
be the
that.
chair. But
It's okay.
I'm within my authority rights, whatever, to discuss this in the way that I am.
Yes.
We all agreed to ask that the skyline be removed because it's not, it's meaningful to you, but I don't know that it's generally meaningful to anybody who walks by, and it adds visual complexity to the sign, which makes it less consistent with mother-lode architecture, from my point of view. My position remains that the skyline doesn't fit. Everything else is just great. It's just great. Thank you.
I want to second some of what Tom said. I feel as well, very much that the complexity that we see here, I'm fine with the river and the tap and the flow. I think all of those are consistent with the guidelines that we have. It represents what you have in a graphic way, and that's part of, if you look at some of the examples in the sign guidelines, we have the tooth for a dentist and things like that. So this is consistent with that. But I also agree that the skyline is a more modern thing, and the complexity of the design overall is more modern, both the skyline and the small lettering above and below. So those are the elements that I find to be not compatible with the design guidelines. The rest of it, though, the color, the shape, and all that, I think are fine.
So are we saying, or are you saying that because you mentioned all the imagery, we're talking about imagery, the tap is showing what is happening inside the cityscape, or the streetscape is not? So when that's the difference for you between allowing one part of this imagery and not the other?
Correct.
Okay. I understand that. Because if we're trying to stay away from it, then I do understand that point of view, for sure.
Is there other discussion?
Would you like me, Chair Brown, to share what the signage design guidelines shows for graphics?
Sure, that
Yeah.
sounds great.
So here we have there's different sections, there's colors and there's materials. And so obviously I provided this to the applicant before they were working on their sign and they were considering these things. So for graphics, it says signage in the 19th century was very basic and often included easily understood symbols. Attorneys, pharmacists, barbers, and others included objects of their signs and on the side of their buildings that reflected their professions. Such graphics are now referred to as historic business symbols, and examples are listed below. So here you'll see the hat for the hat store, a book for Harmony Books, a cup of coffee for Java John's. And then below it says new signs should emulate and be compatible with the design elements of those historic signs so as to retain and protect the cohesive mining town appearance of the historic district. The question to be asked is, would it fit in or would it stand out as being out of place? The Planning Commission has appreciated how corporate businesses have modified their signs to conform to the city's historic district standards. Here are a few examples for Bank of America, Coldwell Banker, Beach Hut Deli, and that's all.
Thank you, Lisa. I guess the final comment would be your, understand this represents a lot to you, and inside your building, completely fine. You know, you can use it inside. It's, again, coming back to what Tom was saying and what Lisa was referring there, you know, we're looking at the downtown as a whole and looking for consistency there.
So
too.
should I change my name to the river? Take out downtown?
Your name is the River Downtown. I was
Right.
okay with leaving the downtown on there. It was the smaller type.
Right, so the imagery for downtown, no, but the handle, yes.
Correct.
I think based on what we just saw, I mean, again, like I kind of like the look of the streetscape, but opinions are not our point up here. It's not, I mean, it can be, but.
Seems like it, yeah.
I mean, we can do this in a, okay.
Would it fit in,
I,
or would it stand out as being out of place?
to me, I don't know that it would stand out, but I don't think that it follows the guidelines of showing what it is inside of, like, I appreciate that it's the logo. I own a business. We have to change our logo for things, depending on what it's for. And it's hard. We had Restaurant Decon in here, and there was an issue of the knife, but the knife ultimately shows, it was a chef's knife. It ultimately showed what was happening inside. And I think that's why we agreed to it, even though we very much disagreed on what it looked like. Some of us did not like it, and some of us did. In this case, I feel like the image of the tap is showing what's going on inside. The cityscape doesn't follow those guidelines, and if the purpose of the guidelines is to tell us what graphics are allowed to be on the signs, I don't see that precedent in that document right there. And maybe the precedent change, maybe, but this sets something different if we allow this. It sets a precedent that I don't know that we want to do, I think that's just something to think about. I haven't made my decision on how I'm going to vote, but I think it's really interesting.
Honestly, I'm not sure that this sign is going to stand out against the other signs that, like, against Soulcraft and
I think it's not going to be super noticeable.
other signs on the street.
I just want to, is Soulcraft an approved sign? Do they get a?
I don't know.
I don't know.
But hold
don't know.
on, the fern has a fern leaf, so, come on. Also.
Yeah, there's no ferns inside.
Yeah, so I erased we've already set the precedent. I'm good with the cities. I was trying to be, I like it, so I was trying to not have my opinion matter. It was trying to just follow the guidelines, but if on that exact street, across the street, we're already not doing that, then why can't we just allow that for you, is actually how I feel. Now you know my real opinion. Okay.
I'd like to respond to that by saying there's lots of imagery already in this sign.
There is.
Lots of imagery already, and if the cityscape profile if it's supposed to underline the word downtown, downtown's already in the sign. It's redundant. And
So is the fern, though.
Well,
yes.
but downtown
I'm
is.
just saying we can't, we have to make the same allowances for
Downtown is part of
everybody.
their name. Are you saying?
No, absolutely.
The cityscape
Let's-
is redundant.
Let's talk one at a time. Did you have more to say?
No, only that I find the skyline a modern thing. It looks like a contemporary thing to me. I can just think of logos throughout the 90s that had a cityscape
Sitcoms.
thing. Yeah, Frasier.
Yeah, there it
I think
is.
that's where, yeah, I think that's what it's
Cards all
hitting
over
for
New
you.
York City
Maybe
in the
Frasier was
90s.
actually Motherlode, and we just didn't realize it.
Any further comment, Tom?
No, and I'm fine with the Nevada City, California, and Watering Hole and Grub. Those are fine. If the sign designer would direct those more along the perimeter of the sign, make it more graceful.
I just didn't want to spend more money already that I already spent. So I was just trying to give a quick imagery of like, this is what it would look like with a different shape sign. So when it's approved, she 100% will do the exact thing.
Okay. Amy, did you have further comment?
Yeah, I'm looking at Three Forks sign right now, which is also quite busy, like in terms of how it's filled up and loaded.
Oh, yeah.
And it also has the Three Forks above it, and it has a mountain range, which in some ways is very similar to a cityscape, if you think about what it's pulling in and representing. again, my personal take is that I find this sign to be busier than I would like, but it's their sign, and I think that they met the requirements.
Agree.
I find it to be modern too in a way that I can't put my finger on. And then sometimes there are things like, again, back to what Tom said earlier, this is the worst part of having to do this job, is the curation aspect of it, because we're wrong sometimes. We've found that in the past where we look at something and we don't like it, and then we realize it falls completely within parameters. Like Communal Cafe's hobo font comes to mind. Which is all to say, we're just human and sorry.
I'd like to throw in overall that it's not a waste of concern. It's not a waste of care. It's not a waste of careful deliberation and lengthy discussion, because the signscape in Nevada City is different from that of other cities, very different from that of other cities in a way that's good, in a way that attracts visitors and allows people to, in a way, suspend their disbelief that this isn't kind of, if we squint our eyes, an 1850s, 70s, 90s town. And there's a lot of value in that, in this curation to businesses like yours. All of us here want you to be very successful, really successful. And so I'm not expressing any negativity about your business or your aesthetic. Only in just my impression has to do with how it pertains to the
street.
the signscape as a whole, as an entire composition throughout the city, throughout the historic district.
Okay,
I'm done. Thank you, Rob.
thank you.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
My concern with approving this was setting a precedent. That's why I've only been a part of this commission for 6 months. I'm the newbie. I haven't approved as many signs as anybody else up here. I think that it showed that the precedent has been set to approve this sign, not the opposite. Like that precedent has been set by the signs that have been approved already. And I don't think I just don't think it's entirely fair to hold different businesses to different standards of what we allow on their sign. I mean, I agree, and I know it is a tricky business, but I think that there's seeing those signs, and yeah, there's not a Three Rivers and a mountain range inside of Three Forks. That is not what's inside of there. And yeah, that's a much busier sign than this. And so, yeah, I just want to discuss not setting precedents. That was my biggest concern, and it revealed that the precedent had been set by someone else to approve this. That's what I believe.
I would like to throw in that we're assured by the legal department that every decision we make is a separate standalone decision. That there are implied or perceived precedents, but no literal ones. And also not all artistic gestures are equivalent.
Oh, yeah, I do understand that, but this is so minimal compared to some of the ones that have, like, to me,
Which are problematic to you?
it doesn't feel as problematic as maybe, I don't know.
I can think of a few.
Okay.
So,
We don't need to talk
We
about
don't need
though.
to go back to that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at the.
We're looking at the sign.
The sign, and we're looking at consistency with our guidelines.
and I understand what you mean about like implied versus there's no literal precedent, like it's not something we can, but it does make a difference in it shifted how I feel about, not
Understood.
really a feeling, it's a thought, but yes.
So I'm getting the sense that we have a split.
Let's
Okay.
finish up here. I mean, we can figure out, we can make a motion, Just my final comment would be, I just want to reiterate what I just said. We're looking at consistency with the guidelines. Other commissions make their decisions based on how they interpret the guidelines.
Interesting, okay.
The fact that one was used and found something applicable for that situation, I don't know what they were considering there. But, here we're looking at the elements that are in front of us, the guidelines,
That's
and
fair.
how it meets, so. Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the sign as presented, including the color change, the shape change, but omitting the cityscape, making the finding that the exterior appearance of the proposed signage is not consistent with Mother Lode architecture with the cityscape. And the second finding, that the signage does not exceed the allowable square footage for the site. That's my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Commissioner Knight,
Yes.
Commissioner Sisco Martinez,
Okay, so in this situation, I just say no if I don't think that's the necessary motion, if there's another, okay. No.
Vice Chair Cobden,
No.
Chair Brown.
Yes. So the motion does not pass. Would someone like to make another motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the sign as is.
And I second that motion.
Commissioner Knight,
I abstain.
Ooh,
and Commissioner Sisco Martinez,
yes.
and Vice Chair Cobden,
Yes.
Chair Brown.
No. Motion passes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
patience. Thank you for your patience.
We're very
with our
excited for the
process.
business.
Yes, we are.
So are we.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
look.
Have a nice afternoon. Have a good afternoon.
And when will you open?
We were supposed to open beginning of May, but we have another PG&E hurdle,
Oh, no.
so now we're hoping end of May. But
Looking forward to it.
definitely the spring, summer.
That's good.
All right,
right.
thank
Bye.
you.
Yeah,
Okay,
just have Cottage Street, right?
We got through it.
yeah.
One more.
So, 203 Cottage Street, the new deck with the stairs.
Come on up. Where are you in my agenda?
Chair Brown, would you like me to introduce
Please
this?
do.
All right. So with us today is
Okay, thank you.
Harold Tiller. He's the contractor and applicant's representative for a project at 203 Cottage Street. Your request today is to do architectural review and also look at the site for the new driveway, or expanded driveway, pardon me. And I will say that the property is on the Sanborn maps. The building shows in a similar location to how it shows on current maps. It's a little shifted, but I think that's just sort of an old maps thing, and I do believe that the house is the original. The proposed project is currently there's a covering over a sort of concrete porch area that appears to be an unpermitted addition to the structure. It is in a location on the side of the garage, and the property owner would like to remove that and change to adding a deck and updating the doors on the upstairs of the structure in preparation, hopefully, for a future ADU or second unit in that attic space. The current project doesn't include that, and it's just not in the budget at the time. The deck and stairs is 253 square feet, and the concrete side parking would be 437 square feet. The applicant also had a separate application for a window change out, and I was able to issue that permit as staff level. The colors are presented just for the commission to understand cohesiveness of the proposed deck and railing with the repaint that the applicant will do. And let's see here. There's some photos I'm sure you saw in your staff report. And then there's also a site plan and a floor plan included, as well as a rendering elevation drawing. So the driveway change, I'll share my screen here. So currently, the driveway is just small, and it goes just in front of the garage. So the proposal is to add concrete over here to provide us a second space when there's currently only sort of 1.5. And there's a PG&E power pole over here, so it'll be like a drive in and kind of curve into the spot there. Harold, anything you'd like to add here?
Well, the power pole was the only thing we were wondering about, just because it's tight. Like you wouldn't get a truck in there, but small cars can. And right now it's just sloped dirt, and you actually can barely you can't even really park in front of the garage. You'd stick out into the road. So going between that pole and the garage, she wants to just turn in and have a full outside parking spot. Otherwise, her only place to park is actually in the garage. And she's hoping eventually, if we can turn the upstairs into an apartment type of thing, for musicians, whoever on a weekend or whatever can come have a place to stay. So the patio that we want to tear down is actually all rotted, and that one tree right there is, breaking up all the concrete that patio and structure is on. So we want to take that tree out. It's lifted the concrete up and broke it and the walls and everything else. But this pad and where the concrete is all be the same spot. So the adding is just the width of the new parking space. It takes smaller retaining walls to hold it all. It'd be capped. And then a new deck where the covered porch is now.
Okay. Any questions?
I do. It looks like, I can't tell from these pictures, and it already looks like that one window that's kind of like behind where the stairs are being proposed to be built is already not getting a lot of light. Are the stairs going to make that, I mean, whoever lives in there, it's up to them what kind of light they want, I suppose, but would that really deteriorate the light inside of the house to also build a staircase right there in front of it? Because it already looks pretty, I mean, is there a way that the stairs could be like
Yeah, there's not
spiral staircase, which there is precedent for in mother-lode architecture places, but so just so it wouldn't go quite as in front of the window, or is there enough space in between that I just can't tell from
There's
this?
enough space.
There is,
Yeah, there's a whole staircase going down next to the house.
and there's the
that you
walkway?
see.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you look at,
So there will be light that comes in that way, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now that's solid. The deck will have,
Okay, yeah, that was the only thing.
it'll
just
still
from
be
these
the
pictures
same
that made it look
shading,
dark.
but
Okay.
Yeah, and if you
I
zoom
think
in on
it's
this a little
offset
bit, you can
as well.
see.
Oh, okay, oh yes, the stairs right there. Cool, okay. Thank you, sorry. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions, Ann? No?
I have one, it's for Lisa. The clearance to the pole, it's really unfortunately located, isn't it?
yeah.
It's a bummer.
Does that, let's see, does that have to go through the city engineer for, I guess it doesn't matter from a practical standpoint whether or not a car will fit in there. They're just proposing a concrete pad, which may or may not be useful for parking. I'm picturing like a little Fiat, thing going
Yeah,
there.
a small car can go in there, but it's an old wood pole, so in that, I don't even know if they're changing those or not, and if they do change it, because right next to that garage on the north side is a small garage right next to it. We could move the pole between the two garages, but, you know, that's
It's
to
all
PG&E.
thing, yeah.
Could be
Yeah.
expensive too.
Hope for it.
For sure.
The owner would have
Could be
to
quite
pay for it.
expensive.
Right.
I just hope it falls down in a snowstorm.
Yeah.
I was just curious if that was a concern, the location of the pole, and
Like a safety concern?
yeah. Just, I don't know, it's just a question.
If it was, you could always put some kind of, what do you call it, a bollard? In between, like where you might back into it.
Bollards, yeah.
Yeah, then they really can't get in there.
It makes it a bit tighter though, is a problem.
That's true. Fiats only.
And,
I didn't get a comment from Brian about that.
okay, and also if PG&E is okay with this kind of.
Right, that
traffic
was the
flow
only thing we
around
didn't
it.
know, so.
But we could do architecture review approval, and if PG&E's got a problem with it, then you just have to come back with a modification, I guess.
Right.
If we didn't have any issues. So the effect on the existing situation, behind the elevated concrete thing is improved. It's an improved access to that area to the side of the garage, I guess, or
Yeah, right now, out of the garage door, there's old concrete steps that are 8 or 9 inches tall, and it's down below, so it's not, if she uses it, it's been used for 100 years that way, but, and then you walk backwards behind the garage and back into her house. So I was gonna pour new concrete up, so you step out of the onto the landing, out at the door, normal steps into the same lower patio. And then the stairs would land on the same landing that's coming out of the garage, so it's all one level space. If the driveway is not possible, I'd still do that landing and redo the steps out of the garage. And then there'd still be a small, all the other lower stuff would all basically be the same. Right now, that old concrete patio that's there slopes into the house, so when we jackhammer that out of there, we want to fix the rod on the siding and the wall and flash it all correctly. And
Who knows what you'll find.
Yeah.
yeah.
it seems to me an overall improvement.
And then eventually you'll be coming back with a proposal to paint? It looks like?
Yeah, the problem is
Or the paint, no, the paint's
Paint's
included in
the
this
paint is
one.
in
Yeah,
here,
of course.
It's not in the historic district, so it doesn't require
Okay,
a
great.
permit. Yeah.
Great.
yeah, and she doesn't have the money because she's gotten bids, because everything on the house is rotted, like
Yeah.
most of the old ones, and so I believe this was her grandfather's house.
Wow.
And so it's the family house, but as you know, everybody always just caulks and paints things instead of fix the rot. So now all that's left is paint.
And caulk.
So to actually fix the house, I've gone through it and almost all the siding needs to be repaired on it. I mean, it's a lot of work.
Bummer.
So she can only afford to do, I don't know that we'll even change the color of the house right now, but at least get good windows on that and fix that part so she can get in and out. And then as things change, we'll do the rest of it.
And are window replacements sort of scheduled to duplicate the existing trim details of the house?
Yeah, the way we're getting new wood windows and they're a metal clad exterior.
Okay.
But the detail on the trim inside it's not super ornate, it's flat with a bead around it, but, so I don't have to rip all that apart. The window and I guy came up where we can actually butt into the old trim on the interior, and then all I gotta do is redo the exterior trim to match what's there. So it's not super ornate, but we'll still match what's there. So most of the work can be done from the outside.
That's all my questions.
Any questions, Amy? No? No questions from me? I see no public, so no public comment. Discussion.
I think this is going to be a really big improvement.
I think so too.
Looks good.
Okay.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this as presented.
I'll second.
Commissioner Sisco Martinez? Yes. Commissioner Knight?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden?
Yes.
Chair Brown?
Yes. All right,
Motion
you're
carried.
approved.
Your
Thank
business.
you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I'll be in touch.
Okay.
Thanks.
Lisa, any last announcements or anything?
Yes. I emailed you earlier this month and requested a change of our April meeting so that I could be down in Southern California during our regularly scheduled day. So the meeting in April will be April 24th, still a Thursday, still at 1:30. Also for Dark Sky, International Dark Sky Week, which is April 21st through the 27th. I'm looking at hosting an event at Pioneer Park on Saturday evening, April 26th. Experience the Night Sky event. And so please have that on your radar and look for more to come on that. And hopefully some of you will join us.
And you'll email us an announcement for that?
Yes, I'll email you an announcement and hope that you will share it with your community as well. And other than that, that's all I have.
All right, great.
Okay.